Evening. It is Tuesday, October 24th, 6:03 p.m. This is the meeting of the Conservation Commission and Inland Wetland Agency for Norwalk, Connecticut. Could we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Steve Clarkey.
Here.
Ed Hohenko. And Kat.
Here.
Heather Muslin.
Yeah.
You have 4. You have a quorum.
Great, thanks. I don't see anyone online to make a public comment. Can you confirm or deny that?
Confirmed. There's no one there.
Moving on. Discussion and or decision for S23-626, 199 Newtown Avenue.
All right, I think the applicant's representative is here, Mr. Dean Martin. We did receive earlier today some updated information, and I'll let the applicant explain what he sent us. I've not had a chance to get it loaded to the website, unfortunately, so feel free to share your screen, Dean.
Okay. Good evening. For the record, Dean Martin with Grumman Engineering. Let me see if I can pull up my plan. We did submit, actually emailed last night and dropped off a hard copy this morning of an updated site plan along with the HEC RES flood elevation study that we completed, showing what the computed flood elevation is on the property, along with a revised landscape plan, which reflects some additional comments, which I'll review with you. Okay. Can everybody see my plan?
No.
Not yet. No.
Not yet? Oh, you know what? Oh, never mind. Here we go. Let's try this.
There we go.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay. So as I stated, let's see, a couple things based on the comments from the site walk, which said that there was it was called a retaining wall down in the southeast corner of the property adjacent to the water. It looked more like somebody had tried to put some steps or a landing, like a wooden and gravel area down there. So I placed a note on the plan for this, wood gravel step / wall to be removed and planted. And additionally, in the western side of the property, there was a comment about a fill pile or some gravel fill area to be removed. And based on what we looked at, it appeared that there was some mulch and brush and items that had been placed over on that side of the property. And I'm assuming that's what the commission was talking about. Also have a note here that area, all that material is to be removed from the site. And then the updated landscape plan reflects this as well, with plantings in this area as well as over on the western side. Now, also, as requested, we computed the 100-year flood elevation based on using materials from FEMA. I did a HEC RES study, which essentially uses a downstream known elevation, and by inputting cross sections throughout the stream all the way back through the property, and then backwater curves are essentially computed all the way up through. We came up with an elevation which is represented by this red highlighted line right through here. It's roughly elevation 71 to 72 up through the property. And then once we get off to the north, where the area flattens out a little bit more on both sides, I'm sorry, it flattens out on the north side, but on the western side, the bank slopes up, so the area floods a little bit more over in this northern side here. So that's represented by this red line. And again, that study was submitted in digital form as well as hard copy. Let me see if I can pull up. Let me just see if I can pull up the landscaping plan here. sure that I can. Thought I had it here. Did that come up or not?
No,
No.
No, okay. Let me try now. Here we go. There we go. This is the revised landscaping plan by Environmental Land Solutions. They, you know, beefed up the buffer along here. And here's my notation: removal of the that gravel area, removal of the gravel over here, or the fill material over here. They increased their plant numbers from 40 to 69 on this plan. And that was, you know, based on the comments that we received back from staff. I think that's pretty much it. I'm just hoping that with the additional information that we can proceed and schedule a public hearing for this project now. Be happy
The
to
reason
answer
we
any
had it
questions.
move, oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, the reason we had it move forward before was we were waiting on the analysis, the FEMA, correct? That was the only feedback that we had in addition to that.
Yeah, that was the main thing. The other thing that Mr. Martin sent along today was an updated site plan that does reference the original survey that it was based on. So we were wanting to see what the topographic information on the site plan, what the origin of that was. And so
Right.
that's also been provided.
I actually have that here as well. I can throw up here.
I just have a
Catherine?
question. Do you have anything that shows there's just the contour lines? Because I think that would be helpful.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to bring up for you now. Let's see. Share.
That's showing your
Yep,
web
sorry.
page.
Let me get back to, this. Okay, here we go. This is the original survey that we had from back in 2005, prepared by Brodigan Land Surveyors. It does not have their title block on it or their
Right.
name on it, but I did speak to Paul Brodigan earlier this week or last week, and it is their project, and he's going to get us an updated survey, but it's going to take him a few days. Now, this is the original survey, like I said, which shows contour lines and spot elevations that were taken, and those were transposed over the same same spot elevations and topographic lines, which are on my site plan as well.
So yeah, it's fairly flat at the intersection where it connects to Newtown Avenue, and then you kind of go down the
Through the lawn area, through the driveway
lawn
lawn
area.
area here.
So is it going to be a shared? It's going to be a second driveway.
A
adjacent to
separate
the-
driveway, yes. It's going to be right next to the existing gravel driveway, which is here, but it's going to be a separate driveway.
Okay, and then it slopes down where you can see the
Right through
contour
here.
lines kind of grouping together in the center there, and then it kind of flattens out to the westernmost part. So it's a relatively, I mean, it kind of feels level-ish once you get down to the the flag of the lot.
Right, here's roughly this is where the house is going to be placed. Right in here. This is the one tree in the center that was to be removed. So there's like a 2-foot drop from here to here, as you can see. And then like another foot down to the water's edge.
And this is shown on the plan that shows the house and everything, right? Can we
Yes,
flip
these are
back to
the
that for a
exact
second?
same, yes, these contours and pretty much all of these existing spot grades are shown on my site plan as well.
Okay. Do any commissioners have questions? Excuse me. Alexis, are you, so are we in good shape with, being happy with documentation?
Yeah, I think it can be considered complete.
Okay,
Your next meeting is the 14th of November. So as long as the applicant will have to send notice of the hearing to all abutting and directly across the street property owners, we will put a notice in the newspaper. But you'd have to get those notices mailed out no later than this Friday.
Okay,
So as long as that's doable.
are those certified mailings, Alexis?
Yes, it
Or-
needs to be a certificate of mailing or a certified. The certificate is cheaper. If you just bring the stack of envelopes to the post office, they'll certify that they've been mailed.
Yes, okay.
okay.
So,
Well,
yeah, a motion would be
may I
nice.
move to schedule a public hearing for our next meeting, November 14th?
I'll
Kind of a
second.
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 Heather, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay,
Okay,
Okay, so
thank
it'll
you very
be
much.
7 p.m. November
Right, 7
14th.
PM on the
But
4th.
we'll send you the legal notice so that you have all the information.
Okay, great. Thank you.
be
Thank
there,
you.
be square. Okay, moving on to S23-627, 91 Witch Lane. This I hope is a decision. Do we have a draft? We do,
Yes, You
decision.
should. And then you just want to, I don't know if everyone is voting. So you had a public hearing at the last meeting. It opened and closed during that meeting with not a lot of fanfare, no public comment. And so if you weren't at the meeting, you can certainly still vote on the application as long as you had a chance to review that really exciting video of the public hearing.
I did watch the video. I was a little confused at the beginning, but then I realized that actually there weren't a lot of written comments that had come in.
Right.
Okay, I'm looking over the draft resolution.
So it has a lot of the kind of general special conditions for building a new house next to a wetland. There's the kind of document what it looks like before you start, and then document what it looks like when you're finished. Submit a bond. The bond covers plants and sedimentation erosion controls. Put up your sedimentation erosion controls. It's special condition number 5 spells out the demarcation of wetland buffers for the 2 wetland areas that are on the site. Number 6 clarifies that those buffers will be enhanced with the planting plan that was submitted prior to the Conservation Office signing off on the certificate of occupancy sign-off process, or our certificate of compliance. The map showing all of the wetlands and those designated buffers need to be filed on the land records for future possible owners so that they know that they have wetlands and buffers. It gives the applicant 20, or the permittee, I guess, 24 months to complete all regulated activity. And that's about it.
I think it might be in the underlined last sentence of number 7, issuance of certificate of compliance for
Oh.
will not be issued.
Will not be issued.
So we'll
Thank you.
scratch. So I'm gonna move to approve this as written with this slight typo correction, number 7, to remove the 4 in the last sentence. For S23-627 91 Witch Lane, dated October 19th. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Love it when our jobs are made easy. Okay, moving on to, excuse me guys, I'm sorry. Bond release or reduction. There's been a request for S20-559 Adams Lane. Do they deserve it, Alexis?
Yes, this is a construction of a new house. There was a small wetland enhancement buffer that needed to be planted to the immediate rear. Computer, there we go. It was inspected very recently and sorry, my computer is freezing. I was going to show you photos, but maybe not. The required buffer has been planted, and the reduction is for the portion of the bond that covered all the cementation, erosion control, site stabilization, and whatnot. So,
Okay. So it's a reduction of 2390. There's still other work, another growing season, I assume, for the rest of the plants and such.
yes.
Okay. I will move to approve that. May I have a second? Oh man. It was a draw. I'll get that.
I think Ed got
Give it to the cat.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Rock on. Okay. Easy enough. Who read the October 10th meeting minutes? Oh.
I can now. Sorry.
I'm buzzing through it. Whoever gets there first, feel free to make a motion.
I'm chuckling at the retaining wall on the Connecticut and Costco.
Go ahead.
Nope.
Well, I mean, going back to the Costco one, do we feel this accurately captures the whole story in case this rears its ugly head later?
Well, this was just our vote, which we did quickly, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So this was just the post-public hearing
Yeah.
discussion.
Okay. All right.
I'm fine with it. I mean, I'm happy to approve.
Move it.
Motion to approve the minutes from October 10th.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Sure.
Aye. Okay. Right. Okay. Conservation initiatives. So Alexis sent comments on Articles 4 and 6, which I haven't reviewed yet, but I immensely appreciate
Yeah, thank you.
seeing.
Absolutely. So I tried to take the comments that were in the Google Drive document, and for the ones that had more information, kind of turn it into sentences. And I'm not sure that I feel like you guys discussed more than this, but this is kind of as far as I had.
I feel like you can, I think a lot of what we talked about, or not a lot of, but was stuff that we decided would not be a fit for this.
Right, a lot of the sustainable building practices, right, would end up being in either an ordinance or potentially adopted as part of the state building code.
Yeah, and there was
And,
something else that we had talked about that was similar to that, and I can't remember what it was, but
Awesome. Thank you for referencing the city code for section 6.2. Nice.
So I guess that the planning and zoning is trying to kind of wrap up all their comments that they relay to their consultant. They've been meeting every Wednesday, alternating between their usual business and going over the draft regulations. They're meeting tomorrow to discuss a lot of these sections. They're going over sustainability and flood regulations, and so I guess if possible, you want to kind of finish cranking this out, or you can just authorize me to kind of come up with some introductory remarks and concluding remarks and send it to the Planning and Zoning Commission tomorrow.
was there anything about, am I missing this, but Steve, about like impermeable surface and runoff, or we decide, what is that in here? What did we decide on that? Maybe that was the thing we decided we couldn't do it. I don't know. I can't recall it now.
Yeah, it kind of dropped off. I think it was one of the initial, I know that one of my initial comments was the impervious coverage percentages allowed in each zone. The least impervious coverage, or the smallest percentage of impervious coverage, is in the triple, or what is currently the AAA zone. Would that be CD? I'm tired. But that's at 25% impervious cover, which is pretty high. If you're looking at a 1 acre lot. But the current regulations allow 25% coverage, and coverage is not defined currently as impervious coverage. That's just building coverage, which is high.
So
High meaning we should.
I think it's I don't think that that's going to change.
Not
I think it's really high for high impervious coverage has a pretty direct correlation to water quality negative impacts. And so the higher your, and that's kind of obvious that a city has more impact than a woodland. But
what do you mean when you say you don't think it'll change?
well, I think that let me open the regulations. Currently, the regulations in our least dense zone allows for a 25% coverage already. And what the new
maximum of 25% of the site can be covered with an impervious surface.
Can be covered.
Currently, it's just coverage, not including driveways
Cannot be
or
covered.
parking lots.
Oh,
Okay.
not including,
What's proposed would be for the least dense lots, 25% impervious coverage. So it is going to be a
Oh.
little bit better, but it's still just a lot of coverage.
oh, but in theory, they could have just made it entirely into a parking lot and put up 25% building before, and that would have been completely fine.
Right. Yep. So it is better.
So,
Okay.
Steve, you had brought up something about like if it's over a certain size, requiring rainwater capture or whatever to some degree.
Yeah. And so we do have,
management.
that's right. So
What?
we do have a city stormwater management. We did talk about this, a stormwater drainage manual that does require on-site retention and capture of of runoff, basically. For any new
And it
build.
applies to all properties?
Yes.
And
Yep.
then how much is required to be held for like a 1-inch rain event or something like that?
So it's up to the 25-year design storm. So that you have to capture the water quality volume, which I think is now the first like the 1.3 inches of rain,
Okay.
and then up to for quantity up to a 25-year event.
That's good. It's all in my basement, so
So,
I think we do a good job of. Wait, how does that work? I'm sorry, I just don't quite understand. Like,
yeah, so like the new houses that you were looking at tonight, they both have with their proposal pretty much everyone is using underground retention galleries except for your large, like your Costco's have
yes,
a big detention basin. Engineers tend to really like those well calculated underground boxes. But yeah, it's done with underground retention. And so whenever someone gets a permit to do an addition, it gets kicked to the building department, and then the building department sends it over to get a stormwater review.
interesting. I didn't realize that it was all construction.
Yes. Almost. I'm not sure if like the smallest construction, like I don't think that sheds at
But
this
I mean,
point.
anything that's
Yeah.
a
So
house, a home.
technically in the drainage manual, everything is covered. Procedurally, I don't know, we have the permitting capacity to review everything.
Okay,
But,
that's good to know.
yeah.
Especially considering we don't do anything with our stormwater.
Okay. Well, I am happy to have.
No, I just took us on a detour for no reason. Sorry.
No, I'm glad you
No,
did.
good.
I'm glad you did because I honestly don't have the brain power for it at the moment. So thank you. It's a team effort. But I love this, what you drafted, Alexis. Just to keep you all in the loop. I have been talking sporadically with Brian Baker, Mr. Kleppen, and also Nick Cantor from P&Z board. What is it called? What is it? The zoning review board?
Commission. Planning and Zoning Commission.
Planning and Zoning Commission. We are talking about adding, and actually Steve just sent something last week about special permits being required. If you're going after a special permit, you shall demonstrate eligibility for blah blah blah, passive house, center fit, green globes. I haven't read through it yet, but it's basically a carrot, not a stick.
Right.
A requirement. It's hey, we'll give you something if you give us something, sort of deal.
Yeah.
And then we're also connecting with gentleman from the Greenwich Sustainability Department. And I believe there's also, let's see, we've spoken with people from New Haven, from their zoning department, trying to get some momentum going behind a bill at the state level that would allow jurisdictions to adopt a code more stringent than the state code, which
Right.
everybody
It's
else
currently
has done.
prohibited.
Right. I don't know why we haven't, but whatever. At this point, we are the hole in the donut, I think someone said. So it's stupid for us not to. So we just need to put something together and get Bob Duff's ear and, you know, hopefully get something through. But, you know, we're all very busy people. But I hope it happens. So if anybody's just totally excited about that, you're welcome to reach out and I'll pass the baton.
Wait, Steve, who does that go through? Who does that have to, like, how does that happen?
Who does it have, adopting a more stringent building code than the state allows?
Yeah,
Well, how does that happen? There,
Good.
I mean, legislation. I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
yeah, no, what,
State legislators.
Someone has to
uh,
introduce a bill, they have to get enough support for it, etc.
okay, never mind, I'll tell you, I'll ask later.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay,
I'm,
I just had to, yeah,
I'm on fumes, so where I usually
I'm not
could
making
probably-
sense, I'm asking a cryptic question that yeah, anyway.
That's okay. Usually I can dig to the bottom and figure out what's happening, but at the right now I can't. I'm shocked. But yeah, you're sounding like you're healthier. I'm feeling healthier, though tired. So maybe we'll see each other in the office.
I don't know, I just, my throat started hurting again, the same thing happened to Dave, it's like a boomerang, I was better, and then all of a sudden I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, I know.
City Hall has the same thing.
Really?
What
It's
is
like,
it?
it was a
Yeah.
school at one time, City Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right, it comes from, but it went away, and then yeah.
Okay. Well, sorry. Yeah, so that's happening. Is the only thing I wanted to add, and I also just want to say again, thank you to Alexis. I mean, does everyone feel good about the rewrite language that she put together? Ed nodded.
Catherine, did I capture? know
I
that,
just, yeah, the only thing I would, maybe if we could add to say that I don't see why it shouldn't be that all new multifamily and commercial development should have be EV capable, meaning that they put the extra allowance for the demand for electricity at the box, and there's a conduiting to an appropriate place so that all somebody has to do is get an electrician that can then actually connect in the wires. I think that's reasonable. They don't have to supply be EV ready, but it should be capable, because the state legislation says that you can't deny a renter from being able to get EV charging, but the burden of them having to update boxes or go in and do that is quite high. And I think from a grid management perspective that they're going to want to encourage charging at night to spread the load.
Okay, so you're saying more than the 10% for
I think it should
multifamilies of
be,
20
I mean,
units or more?
because here the language is just for any multifamily would require 20 or more parking lots.
Yeah.
They're
There's
saying for all proposed new multifamily development, regardless of the number of units, they should provide EV capable parking spots.
Yeah, they should be EV capable, though they should be the dwelling and the parking situation should be EV capable, meaning that they've put it in at the box and there's a conduit that somebody can run a wire when if there's a need.
Okay. And
Well,
EV capable for 100% of the proposed parking lot?
Yeah, I mean, because that would be like 2 people or 3 people, or for some of these multifamily. you know, because if the regulations are coming in that they're putting forward that the state's going to go toward all new car sales in, 10 years are going to be EV, no more combustion engine for new car sales, then, and also in Connecticut, the EV uptick is higher than the national average. So I mean, it's like now 17% or 20% of new car sales are EV.
Okay, so on the memo, the so you get
That's
down
great.
to the third paragraph that talks about new multifamily. So that would stay. Developments with 20 or more. Consider the change below that requires 10% level 2 and 50% EV ready. And then you're talking about an additionally, all proposed multifamily development should be required to have should include EV capable parking spaces.
Yeah, to say like any development with, I mean, you could just say like any building, I mean, should have the EV, should be EV capable. I mean, because at some point, most buildings are capable for, refrigerators, washer dryers, it's kind of an appliance.
Okay.
It's going to move toward being an appliance, I think. I mean, you could say any development, that falls out, multifamily that is requires less than 20 parking spaces should be EV capable.
I'm a draft document from the Department of Energy Zero Energy Ready Home Program
Yeah.
for multifamily buildings, just for reference. And they do actually provide 2 exceptions. Basically, where the local electric distribution entity has certified in writing it's not able to provide 100% of the necessary capacity. Is one. I'm with you, Catherine. I'm just trying to think of how this will get thought.
Yeah.
So if they're saying, oh well, the utility can't handle X spots or X kW, what then? And then this is saying that if it will alter the local infrastructure design requirements on the utility side, so as to increase the utility side cost of the builder or developer by more than $400 per dwelling unit. The EV charging infrastructure shall be reduced based on available existing electric distribution capacity. So again, that's saying, okay, this is from the grid just plain can't handle it, which is part of the problem. I think we all agree. And then this is saying that it's too expensive to bring it if it's not there already.
Well, I think the thing with the 0.1A is that the grid won't be able to handle it if you're not allowing for home charging because people will charge overnight. So now you're pushing people who would have an EV car and they can utilize it and just go to supercharger during the day and charge up for 15 minutes. So it doesn't really, if the demand's there and people are buying it, it's not unnecessary to say, well, if I can't charge at home, I'm not going to buy an EV car because there's superchargers available. Tesla's opening up its network to all EV chargers, and the companies are going have a lot of planned expansion of EV superchargers going up around the state. So, it's what you're trying to do. In fact, the electric companies are saying we're trying to incentivize EVs to charge at night.
Okay.
So, I can sign up with Eversource and get a discount on my electricity by certifying and saying I'm going to charge at night. So, point A is that I think it's not really coming from the grid's perspective. they're trying to incentivize distributing it over the course of a 24-hour period.
Okay. Got it. Okay. That makes sense. Oh, here's something else actually, Alexis, not to dwell too much on this one document, but they have different terms. So EVSE, EV capable, and EV ready. EVSE is electrical vehicle supply equipment.
Yeah, that's
Right.
installed. Ready means that you don't have, it's up to a junction box, but doesn't have the charger attached.
Okay, so this one requires like a bunch of panels and stuff in the building and running infrastructure out to the spot. It's everything basically except for the charger itself.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, and then this is vehicle supply equipment. So this is the actual charger, and then capable means,
It's the lowest.
okay, so this is easy, this is easiest, harder, and this is all the way.
Means that
Super
you have
soft.
space reserved on the fuel, as on the fuse box or going
Yeah.
in, that it could provide that, but it's not
Right.
being utilized. And you have a conduit or a raceway that when somebody chooses to install, they're not digging things up or having to, invasively go into common property on a development to get permission to cut into walls, to
Right,
create a raceway.
got it. Okay.
So I think it's reasonable to say like EV ready. If you're building, I mean, that's the time to put in.
Right.
I think you just
It's
have to
not
change
that
the,
expensive. It's the cheapest point.
I think we would just have to change the language for the 10% then, right? For the,
I don't know, because I thought what we're saying is that for development with 20 or more, that require 20 or more parking spaces.
right,
That you have to have 10% level 2 chargers. So that's like the charger installed, and
Mhm.
50% of the parking spaces be EV ready.
Yeah,
So 10% at the highest and 50% at the mid-range.
right.
And then additionally, any proposed multifamily development with less than 20% parking spaces shall be constructed such that all spaces are EV capable. Is that
well,
what you were
yeah, I
saying?
mean,
Or
because if
no?
you're below that, like the percentages are, if you're looking at it from like, say there's 10, 10%, that's one parking space.
That's what I was saying. If it's,
10% is 5. So when you get
Mhm.
to smaller dwellings, like for example, like the senior living place, or I don't know how many people are going to be driving, but with EV cars and self-driving, you might have people being able to drive longer and have more
Yeah.
independence, but that you should at least have the EV capable. I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer that should be.
I agree. So you're saying, so just to clarify, you're saying 100% EV capable for regardless of size. But what I was trying to say is that can we keep we'd have to keep 10% for over 20.
No, I'm saying that for the smaller multifamily or the developments, so for developments that wouldn't require to have 20 parking lots, 20
Mhm.
parking spaces, I would say those need to create parking, like a certain number of spots, or like 50% of the spots need to be EV capable.
Let's break it down like this. Let's say there's 10 spots.
Yes.
Mhm.
Let's say 2 have to be supplied with equipment. 2 have to be, let's say 3 have to be ready, and the rest have to be capable. Is that crazy? So that's saying 100%.
That might be crazy.
So
Yeah, I don't think zoning will go
yeah.
that
So
far.
we're
But
saying
I
that
thought
would
that's what
be-
you were saying.
That's
Okay.
more, that's more onerous than the big development.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. So I'm sorry. So yeah, we're already at 2 out of 20. So if it's 1, can you have 1 with equipment, 2 that are ready, and 3 that are capable? So 50% of spots have either, you have 1 charger, you got 2 that have the conduit out to the spots, and then you've got 3 that have just the space in the panel, and then the other half, the 50% of the spots are just normal. I'm just trying to break it down to numbers I can wrap my head around here.
Wait, but why do we need 3 levels? The 3 levels.
Yeah.
Well, because I think based on feedback I get from the builders I work with,
Yeah,
running the conduit out to the spots ain't cheap.
Right, I think that's why Catherine was originally saying, make those smaller ones that maybe have a smaller margin to work with to have them be EV capable.
Yeah, to
Okay.
say like, just say that 50%
Just
of
enough
the
space,
parking
50%.
spots, 50% need to be EV
Right.
capable.
And then 1%,
I
2
wouldn't
out
say
of 10.
that, because then people can just then somebody can fulfill like their obligation and they can actually get their own charger installed.
Okay, so you just want to make sure if in a new building, there's enough space in that electrical room
right.
and there's enough capacity in the service
To
to
meet
be
the
able
demand
to.
of EV charging that's coming down the road with Connecticut state legislation.
And that is
So
50%.
future capacity building,
For
right?
future capacity building, I mean,
Okay.
it needs to start now in terms of everything that I've read. Like, if you don't, then, it's gonna be really challenging.
Right,
Okay.
and to your point, people won't buy a car if they have nowhere to charge it at their house.
Well, they can, I mean, because I sometimes, I've got 2 EV cars and I, trying to like maneuver them. So sometimes I like just use a supercharger.
Well, I understand, but I mean,
Yeah.
well, okay, I'll rephrase that. I would
Yeah,
not
yeah.
buy an EV car if I was not able to charge it at home.
I
But
have
in
a
10
plug-in.
years' time, you won't have the choice, because I
Right.
bet you have to buy a used car.
That's a choice, but yeah,
The
I'm
choice.
here.
Okay.
So
right.
I think, but
But I'm with you.
but there's a nuance, right? Because when I think about the plans that we've seen, like if I think about the senior living development that's happening, if you were to say 50%, how do you choose then which house? Because all of the, it's not like people are going to park in their neighbor's driveway to charge their car, because I didn't get one of the units that was EV capable. So I can't, then I've got to like rip up and
Mm-hmm.
get permission to do that. So I don't know, there's a nuance in it to say like if there's communal parking, but if there's assigned parking or like I don't know. I mean, it gets tricky. I don't.
Yeah,
That's why I was
Just
saying,
say-
can we
I'm
just
not a
say
language
100%?
100%.
If it's simpler for the smaller ones, because there's less likely to be assigned parking that, there's more likely to be constraints or assigned parking in smaller units. I don't know, to say 100% have to be EV capable. Because it's not communal parking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we just say like a parking lot or garage? Like, can we just add that to distinguish it from situations where there may be individual
Mm. Yeah, I
driveways?
think the problem is the word development, right? Maybe it's not the.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not really contributing anything here.
I don't.
Well, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, the Planning and Zoning Commission is reviewing hundreds
A lot of
and
things.
It's not up to us anyway.
pages,
Right.
and they're gonna they're gonna take little bits and then parts they're gonna like look at and move on. So I don't think, I think that they're gonna continue to evolve. I think they're gonna take something that is, they feel is kind of fair enough, and then in the future, I think they're going to continue to hone certain sections of the regulations.
All right, well, let's just start with 50% of of
Which is
development.
what's in the draft here. EV
No.
ready 50%.
No,
Yeah.
no, EV
So then,
capable
EV
what's
capable.
in the draft,
for
then at the-
dwellings, yeah.
All right, so you're
Oh.
proposing to change it from EV ready to EV capable.
no.
No.
So have the language that you have there. And then a sentence after it that
Mhm.
says additionally, any proposed multifamily development with less than 20 parking spaces shall include at least 50% of such parking spaces as EV capable. I'll clean that up. Is
Okay. You're the best.
that correct, Catherine?
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, it just flags to say like, you know, and there's this, because there's a state legislation that says that any renter there should be no reason why a landlord would deny a renter from being able to install EV charging equipment.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, to your point, it's,
So you might as
well-
well make it capable if
Yep.
you're gonna meet the legislation, otherwise the burden's still really high on the renter. And they can argue to say, no, you can't like, you know, rip open, because you know, the walls of the common property. Or they might, you know, put a lot of extra costs in on that.
yeah, protecting them.
Yeah,
I'm gonna wait until Alexis looks like she's done typing. Don't let me distract you. No,
Um,
That's not distracting. Oh.
just making some notes. Okay,
no, go ahead.
so to make this into something that can be transmitted to the Planning and Zoning Commission, I'm going to add a to the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission and a from the chair of the Conservation Commission and a date and a subject. And I'll do a very brief introduction that these are the Conservation Commission's comments. And then I'll reiterate that at the very bottom and then send it along.
I think she says she's writing the message from you, Steve. She's doing your.
Absolutely.
So we're
This
all
is-
on the same
this is how we
page.
do it.
I always did my own homework. I never had, you know, like anybody do my homework for me in school, but that's what this feels like, by the way.
Oh, no. So just so you know, like when you look at like anything, any meetings, whether it's from Lou Schulman at the from the Planning and Zoning Commission or anyone on from the it's a staff person writing those. So you're fine.
Really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely. But so you might want to just do a resolution. Let's just cover ourselves to direct your staff to complete a memo to send to the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding your comments on the draft.
Alexis, I was
commission.
thinking, if you had time, would you mind putting a letter together? In fact, let's just make this official. I want to move to have our wonderfully intelligent and gracious staff draft a memo that makes us look good to others. Can I have a second?
second.
Heather got it verbally, Catherine. Sorry. Any discussion?
Oh, I wasn't seconding that.
Okay,
motion.
Catherine seconded. Diana's having just a barrel of monkeys with this. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Great. This is awesome. And people say government's bad.
I was.
It is when you don't have capable people, I think is the trick there.
We
Anyway.
need a slogan
Okay.
that's, we're putting the fun in government over here right now.
Fundament.
I can't, yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry, Alexis, did you have more there, or should we move on to
Oh, no.
staff? Okay, comments of staff, please.
Oh, no.
No, moving on, comments of commissioners. Thank you.
I don't, just one quickly, sorry. I don't
Mm.
know if Alexis fed back at the last meeting about the the resiliency project finishing up. It was actually really nice because I got to see Alexis in person, live, in the flesh,
In real
for the
life,
first time in real life.
IRL, as my kids say.
Yes. Basically, the takeaway was that they were really focused in on creating safe evacuation route planning for the coastal resiliency, and it didn't really delve too much into other topics. One thing that kind of was alarming a little bit to me was there were a few hazardous waste sites that would be inundated and flooded, which would be quite a significant environmental hazard going forward, especially with accelerating sea level rise. And I don't know that that was necessarily flagged in a plan that's something that the city should be looking into remediating and starting to look at funding to get the remediation, because at least now we have a window of like 30 years to sort that out rather than waiting.
Are
for the
those
worst.
actively used properties, or are they?
They didn't go into that, so I don't know. Maybe Alexis knows.
Yeah, I mean, some people have brought up the, and this really kind of stems back to the Planning and Zoning Commission's waterfront industrial
Yeah,
study. And that that brownfields weren't specifically shown in that plan. And the city doesn't currently have an up-to-date list of specific brownfields. Obviously, we know that there are things that would be considered brownfields and are certainly likely contaminated sites. But because of the sources of information that we have to make that determination isn't super clear, the city has to be careful at kind of naming properties that are polluted or might be polluted in any plan. And so instead makes it very clear that any development would need to have multiple layers of environmental assessment prior to doing any work. And then additionally, the redevelopment agency of the city did receive a grant and is doing a brownfields inventory currently. So it is hoped that once that inventory project is concluded, the city will have a much better feel for where current brownfields are today. And then about the focus of the study, what they're really looking at are maintaining egress during flooding events, not your biggest events, not a hurricane, when pretty much all of South Norwalk will be inundated, but looking at doing modifications to some of the road infrastructure to allow more consistent egress during your both your nuisance tidal flooding, because some areas like Water Street get flooded monthly almost now. So accounting for a 10-year storm event plus anticipated sea level rise of 20 inches, where would the 10-year flood elevation be, and trying to get the roads to above that level. So we're not talking about roads that are way up there, but some going up about 9 inches, 6 inches, that range. And then pairing those with green infrastructure. So hopefully working on heat island effect, stormwater quality, and flood egress at the same time.
Awesome.
I'm interested, Catherine. I think that's a great point. Like, that is terrifying. That there's, I mean, everywhere you look along the water in Norwalk River, or it's just.
Well, it looks very different than it did, in the 1970s and even into the early 80s. You had a very different waterfront. You had it historically was a commercial waterfront with big oil tanks and a lot more industry and manufacturing. Absolutely. I did want to pitch I sent an email for Kakiwik, the Connecticut Association of Inland Wetland and Conservation Commissions, I don't know, something like that. It's a Saturday event and it's, I forget where it is this year, but they do a very nice job. If you're interested in going, just let me know. I think Ed, you went many years ago, if I remember right.
Yeah, I was there last year.
Oh, okay.
I went last
I
year
was gonna
with
say,
Ed.
actually,
Yeah.
yeah, you went, that's right. Wow. Yep. Anyway, you're welcome to go again.
Yeah, anybody who's available should do it. I can't, but I'm interested. Okay. Thank you, Alexis. As
Mhm.
always. Okay, I don't have anything to add. Does anyone else have anything to add? Thank you for being available and helping us have a quorum. I'm sure the few people really appreciated that. So thank you. And I'll move to adjourn. Can I have a second? Oh, Ed thinks he got it. Okay, give it to Ed.
I got it.
Any discussion? Not hearing none. All in favor? Good
Aye.
night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.